Well, it has been a little while since we have caught up with the president of the Alberta Fish and Game Association, Victor Benz, and we are going to do that today. Vic, it has been a busy number of months for you. I know that you and your team have been behind the curtain, as it were, working on new bylaws. And it's not the sexiest thing to talk about, I'm sure. And I'm sure you're ready to pull out what remaining hair you have from your beard. Why don't you sort of give us the 10,000 foot level of what has been going on and what, and I'm going to put this in brackets, what members of the AFGA can expect to see.
Thank you very much, Michael. I always enjoy chatting with you. So yes, we've been working on a reorganization of the AFGA, and one of the key components has been a redefinition, revisit of both the objects of the AFGA, which is being handled by another committee, and the bylaws, which is being handled by my own committee. And are just about to we're targeting before the end of the year to roll out a straw dog version of the bylaws to get input from all of the AFGA on what we've been working on and answering some questions. We have focused in the short term on addressing the membership section of the bylaws. One of the reasons we focused on the bylaws is that putting it quite simply, if the AFGA were a new organization today applying for registration with Alberta Corporate Registry using the bylaws that we have today, we would be rejected. They're insufficient. So we do have to update them.
And why is that important that you be in a position to be registered? Does that have impact in terms of what you can apply for grants and that type of thing?
It's a two-stage approach. One is that it creates an entity called the AFGA, which is a legal entity and has legal rights and responsibilities rather than those rights and responsibilities necessarily falling on the individual members of the executive if we were just a local friendly club. Secondly, it's a step in the process towards our charitable status, which we have through Revenue Canada.
So as I looked at sort of the I guess draft that you provided in terms of where you want to take the organization, the biggest thing that stood out to me was that I, as an individual, actually don't join the Alberta Fish and Game Association. I join a local club, which then becomes either an affiliate or a member of the Alberta Fish and Game Association. Why did you take that direction, Vic?
We've taken that approach because that's the approach that has always existed, and that's the approach that is legally defines our relationship with the clubs and the affiliated club members today. There has been a slow drift away from that. We've become less careful in the language we use. But I want to emphasize to everybody that, yes, you are a member of the AFGA through being a member of your own club. Your own club is the member of the AFGA. So when we used to say we represent 25,000 members, what we need to start saying today is we represent 25,000 affiliated club members of our clubs throughout the province. And this proposal, which is not in bylaw language, it's more of a concept proposal, is trying to explain and put a coordinated, coherent story together on how all of this ties together. A number of the items in that proposal don't exist in either our bylaws or our operations manual today, and they fundamentally need to.
Now you've taken or you've built this around something called a federation model. Maybe explain a little bit about that.
Thanks for the opportunity to do that. We didn't realize how significant a question that would be. Organizations like the AFGA charitable organizations can be organized in two ways. And the simplest way to describe them is either top down or bottom up. So I'll ask you to think about a fraternity order that you may know, whether it's the Lions Club or Order of Elks or any of these. These are classic top-down organizations. There is a central, national, maybe even an international office. They set the rules. You do everything their way, and you represent a chapter or a lodge in their structure. You don't have a choice very much in what you do and how you behave. Yes, there are choices locally on who you donate money to and this sort of stuff, but you follow the rules of the central office. A federation model is a fundamentally different situation. Everybody involved is actually their own legal entity. Most of our clubs are registered as separate entities with Alberta Corporate Registry. All of the zones are registered as separate legal entities. The reason all of these clubs and zones are registered, among other things, is so that they can run casinos. You must be a registered organization to run a casino. And these clubs can choose to or choose not to affiliate with the AFGA. They have complete autonomy. We don't tell them what to put in their bylaws. We don't tell them how to behave. They choose to join us because we are an organization they want to work with.
So from that standpoint then, Vic, what would be the benefit of a satellite group, Leduc, Morinville, what have you, wherever you come from, in joining the AFGA, whether it be as an affiliate or a member?
The focus of the AFGA is provincial. So we have relationships with all the appropriate departments, Alberta Environment and Parks. Recently, we've established one to a degree with Alberta Agriculture on some of the questions we've been dealing with, and we can present a relatively united front from a provincial perspective. A lot of the type of issues that we've dealt with are beyond the capabilities of an individual club to deal with. And that's where we particularly come in, whether it's a concern about the direction in which angling regulations are going or hunting regulations are going, or seeking new opportunities to fish for tiger trout or hunt bison in northern Alberta. These are all the sort of questions we tend to get involved in as a provincial organization, and we're recognized for it by the government. We generally have a seat at the table at all of the major committees that they put together.
So would it become, I guess, a vote within a local club as to whether that club becomes a member or an affiliate of the AFGA? How would the process work from that grassroots level to join a provincial organization?
That's exactly it, Michael. The local club would get together and make a decision. Yes, we wish to affiliate with the AFGA. And there are a number of reasons beyond what I've just mentioned. For example, we provide reasonably cost-effective range insurance for those clubs that have firing ranges, whether they be firearms or archery. So club will sit and say, yes, I think this makes sense. Let's join them. We realize we have to pay an affiliation due, but that affiliation due really determines the size of the voice that club has within the AFGA system.
So when you say that, that's in terms of the number of votes that can be brought to bear at an AGM, for example. So if you have a club with 50 members versus a club with 3,000 members, there's going to be a discrepancy in terms of who gets the say.
Well, not so much who gets the say, but who can say. So, for example, in a federation model, there are many different ways to organize the vote. We have chosen, and everyone's quite familiar with the voting delegate system that we have, which translates a certain size of clubs to so many voting delegates. Yes, the bigger clubs get more. At the moment, today, we're capped for the larger clubs at 10 delegates. Part of our proposal here is to remove that cap, because when this cap was originally put in, a large club was 600-700 100 members, and now we've got clubs that are over 7,000 members. The counter to that is we've put in a requirement that a minimum of 1/4 of our clubs must be present at an AGM for that to be a legal meeting. And this prevents a situation which some of our affiliate members have been concerned about, which is the large clubs taking over, setting the rules.
Is there any concern that perhaps you just mentioned a larger club setting the rules in terms of setting direction of the issues that your provincial body would take on in terms of being a voice for all of us that want you to go out and talk about whatever the issue is? Is there a concern that might get taken off the rails, or how do you set the priorities if not through the membership of these affiliate groups?
It's interesting. People are always concerned about that, and yet the numbers don't bear it out. So I'll use the example outside of Alberta of our sister federation in Ontario. In Ontario, the Federation of Anglers and Hunters is not an affiliate organization. Everybody is a direct member of that group, and there are 80,000 of them. And one would think that would lead to a rather spectacularly difficult system in organizing an annual general meeting, and particularly, for example, if you're doing it virtually, which we've all been doing for the last year and a half to 2 years. What's interesting is in discussions with the Ontario Federation, they've never had more than 300 people at a conference, even though they have 80,000 members. So even with our large clubs, the feedback that I get from them is there's a small core group of very committed, interested, hardworking individuals, and the rest of them tend to be of the philosophy, don't bug us. We're enjoying, shooting at the range or whatever it is. We trust you to make the right decisions on our behalf.
Well, speaking of small and dedicated group of individuals, Vic, I know you and your two different committees are working extremely hard. There's a lot more to talk about this, and perhaps maybe that's something that we can do in a subsequent interview. But in the meantime, with these new bylaws being cobbled together, maybe that's a bad choice of words. They've been crafted. I know you've spent a lot of time with it. When is the opportunity for folks out there in the world of Alberta get an opportunity to review them and I guess say yay or nay?
So what we're doing right now with the membership proposal, which we've put forward and had our Q&A session on that, we have a number of additional suggestions for changes. We are going to be putting out a SurveyMonkey survey very shortly, asking the AFGA, what do you think of these? Are you for or against? We'll try to put together the reasons that they were suggested, and also from our perspective, some of the implications of making that kind of a move. Probably be something in the order of 10 to 20 changes. I don't have an exact number right now. And we hope to get that back in time that by the end of this year, we will have, as I've said, a straw dog to put before the membership for discussion. This is not for vote. This is the first time that they're going to see a complete integrated set of new bylaws, and I expect that to generate discussion. Hopefully, we will be in a position to revamp and adjust those in, let's say, the first quarter of 2022. Also run it by our contacts in Alberta Corporate Registry, and potentially run it by contacts we have with Canada Revenue Agency to make sure that they do not see anything concerning in there, such that if we take a vote and it passes, that it should be relatively smooth sailing to get it through Alberta Corporate Registry. So if we do that in the first quarter, I would expect that we would have a special general meeting to vote on the bylaws sometime in the second quarter. If they're passed, immediately submit them to Alberta Corporate Registry, and then we will be on their waiting list. We've heard some horror stories of some organizations taking up to a year and a half to get their bylaws approved. We hope we don't have to wait that long. Where that's critical, Michael, is that even though we have passed those bylaws at a special general meeting, we cannot enact them and follow them until they're approved by Alberta Corporate Registry.
So still a long road to go in terms of getting things turned around. Vic, listen, thanks so much for bringing us up to speed on the work that you and your committees have been doing. We look forward to continue this conversation in the near future. So thank you again for your time today.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, Michael, anytime. Take care.